You feel like you were being canceled?
I mean, I really didn't understand it. I still don't understand it. It was too orchestrated. It was too coordinated. And, you know, people get picked on, but for 4 months...
It's been about 1.5 years since Ellen dropped what she called her final stand-up special, For Your Approval. That special was basically her big moment to respond to critics and everyone who had been dragging her name through headlines after the huge wave of accusations about how she treated people behind the scenes. Instead of quietly stepping away, she jumped on stage and tried to flip the narrative in front of the entire audience. The real controversy started when story after story described a very different version of Ellen than the cheerful TV personality people had watched for years. According to many reports, people who worked around her felt like they were treated as if they barely existed unless they were famous or useful to the spotlight. That image clashed hard with the brand she spent decades building as the friendly, upbeat host who always talked about kindness. Then in the special, Ellen leaned into the idea that she was the one being unfairly targeted. At one point, she joked that people turned on her because she was too gay, almost like that was the main reason for the backlash.
She emailed the owner of the restaurant and complained about your chip nail polish.
What?
And I was like, what?
Critics were quick to call that explanation shaky, especially considering the massive success she built while promoting a very specific image. For years, she closed her show with the line, "Be kind to one another." It became her signature message, repeated at the end of nearly every episode. So when dozens of stories popped up describing her acting like a demanding Karen witch, both at work and out in everyday public situations, the contrast hit people like a shockwave. The difference between the slogan and the stories suddenly became impossible to ignore. So in many ways, Ellen ended up becoming one of the first major celebrities to experience a real wave of cancellation in the modern internet era. Once those stories about her behavior started spreading everywhere, the fallout hit fast. Her daytime show began losing viewers quickly, the ratings dropped hard, and the whole situation started snowballing. Even her other program, Ellen's Game of Games, didn't survive the storm and was cancelled around that same period in 2022. The shift in public opinion was wild to watch. For years, she had this image like everyone's cheerful TV grandma, the one dancing around the stage, giving out gifts, and cracking jokes with the audience. But once the controversy took over the headlines, that warm invitation suddenly disappeared. The same figure who once felt welcome everywhere suddenly looked like someone the crowd wasn't so excited to see anymore.
Toxic, phony, hypocrite, liar. That's what she is. This environment, this toxic culture that she created in the office has been going on for 16 years.
What made the situation even more shocking was how different things looked just a few years earlier. Back in the mid-2000s, Ellen was widely viewed as one of the least controversial figures in entertainment. She was collecting humanitarian awards, making massive amounts of money, and building a reputation as the upbeat host who kept daytime television light and fun. Then the stories started rolling in, one after another. Former staff members, insiders, and people who had crossed paths with her began sharing their experiences. As more voices joined the conversation, the polished image she had spent years building began cracking fast. And before long, that carefully built world around her started falling apart piece by piece. And honestly, the situation didn't just shake Ellen's reputation, it also added to a growing feeling that the polished image of the entertainment industry itself was starting to crack. In recent years, more attention has been placed on powerful figures behind the scenes, especially after major scandals and investigations pulled the curtain back on how some elite circles really operate.
At your birthday party, am I invited?
Yes.
Why don't you have one here on the West Coast? Because I work all the time.
Okay, well, maybe I have one at your house.
Where's that?
And then, you know, we have the top 2 floors of the hotel.
And then it will carry on there?
Yeah. Did it? No, I mean the after party.
No, I know about that.
Suddenly, the spotlight wasn't just on actors and hosts anymore. It was shining directly on the systems and connections around them. That bigger picture matters when looking at Ellen's response. When she stepped on stage for that special, it felt like a last attempt to protect her image and control the story. She leaned into the idea that she was being pushed out unfairly, even suggesting the backlash was tied to her identity. But many viewers didn't buy that angle at all. A lot of people watching felt like the real issue being discussed everywhere had nothing to do with that, and everything to do with the stories about how people were treated behind the scenes. The reaction to the special itself was rough. Instead of creating the huge comeback moment she seemed to be hoping for, many critics said it came off as defensive, entitled, and strangely disconnected from why people were upset in the first place. Fans who once supported her were left confused, while reviewers described the performance as tone-deaf and surprisingly unapologetic, and the timing made things even more awkward.
This way, he was violent, and he subjected victims to physical, emotional, and verbal abuse so that they would participate in the freak-offs.
Ellen had been known for years to move in some of the same celebrity circles as Sean Diddy Combs, someone who has recently faced intense public scrutiny as serious allegations about his private life began making headlines. That wave of attention hit the news cycle right around the same time Ellen's special arrived, which only pulled even more focus onto the company and connections surrounding some of the industry's biggest names. In a strange way, that whole moment felt like two major stories colliding at the exact same time. While Ellen was trying to defend her reputation, the spotlight was also starting to swing towards some of the powerful people she had been connected with for years, and one name that kept popping up in those conversations was Diddy. Ellen had openly joked about him many times on her show. At one point she even said, "Thanks to my friend Diddy, you are always the life of the party."
Yeah, I got kicked out of show business. Yeah, because I'm mean. No mean people in show business.
Apparently, I have a history of not knowing which parties I've been invited to. Diddy, Happy Birthday, P. Diddy, Puff Daddy, Sean Combs, or as I like to call him, Cuddle McSnuggle stuff. The audience laughed, the music played, and the moment passed like just another playful celebrity shout-out. There was also another moment where she told the crowd, "No, you don't need to know why this group of kids had a dream to dance with Diddy today. That dream came true." At the time, it looked like harmless daytime TV fun, the kind of light segment her show was known for. But as new controversies started surrounding Diddy years later, people began looking back at those connections a little differently. Some critics questioned whether celebrities who moved in the same social circles might have heard rumors long before the public did.
This is the second time I've been kicked out of show business. Can't be gay and be in show business. Mean, old, and gay, the triple crown.
For decades, there had been whispers and industry gossip floating around entertainment circles, and once everything started coming into the open, those old relationships suddenly became a lot more interesting to examine. Still, throughout the long run of her show, Diddy wasn't just a random guest who popped in once or twice. He showed up again and again over the years, and Ellen often treated him like one of her all-time favorites. She joked about him, celebrated him on stage, and even gave him that playful nickname that caught people's attention. Let's be real, someone doesn't usually earn a name like Cuddle McSnuggle stuff unless there's a pretty friendly connection there. That's why some observers found it interesting when questions about their relationship started floating around during the wave of headlines surrounding Diddy.
Gonna be early for my party?
Yes, I am. No.
No.
You know I have to arrive fashionably late.
All right, not too late though.
Not too late?
Not too late,
What
please.
time would you like me there?
I'll tell you later.
Okay,
But not
okay.
too late. Because, you know, once you get there, the party really starts.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
When reporters and commentators began asking about celebrities who had moved in his circle for years, Ellen stayed completely quiet on the topic. No public explanation, no long statement, nothing that really addressed the situation. Then another twist hit the story. Around the time federal authorities began investigating Diddy and reports about raids on his properties were spreading across the news, Ellen made a major life move. She and her wife packed up and relocated overseas. The timing immediately caught people's attention because it happened right as the pressure around Diddy's situation was intensifying and more serious allegations were becoming public. By November 2024, the couple had settled in southwest England. That move sparked a wave of speculation online, with some people believing she wanted distance from the chaos surrounding her former social circle. Others pointed out that Ellen gave a completely different explanation for the relocation. According to her, the move had more to do with politics than anything happening in entertainment headlines. After arriving in England, she reportedly went all in on the new lifestyle. First came a massive countryside property reportedly worth around $20 million, followed not long after by another home estimated at roughly $30 million.
You can't be smarter, funnier than Ellen. She's the comedian and the star, not you.
During a private event at a theatre overseas, Ellen even talked openly about how the move unfolded. She told the crowd, We got here to England the day before the election, and we woke up to lots of texts from our friends and crying emojis. We were like, we're staying here. We're not going back. We are not leaving. So we bought a house that we thought was going to be a part-time house. Then we decided we needed a different house, and now we're selling that house. Then another twist hit the story that caught a lot of people off guard. After spending only about a year living in England, reports started circulating that Ellen and her wife were already making their way back to the United States. That quick turnaround raised plenty of eyebrows, especially considering how dramatic the original move had sounded when she first talked about it. Some observers found the timing pretty suspicious. For one, the headlines surrounding Diddy and the wider celebrity circle were still dominating conversations online, so people were already paying extra attention to anyone connected to those social scenes. On top of that, Ellen had been very outspoken during a live appearance at the Everyman Theatre when she explained why she wanted to leave the United States in the first place. During that event, she said she was worried about the political climate and claimed she didn't feel comfortable staying under what she described as a Trump regime.
America and Republicans who would quite like to undo the right for gay people to get married. I mean, that's back on the table as a debate, I think,
absolutely.
isn't it?
The Baptist Church in America is trying to reverse gay marriage. They're trying to, at the very least, stop it from happening in the future and possibly reverse it. And Portia and I are already looking into it, and if they do that, we're going to get married here.
She also mentioned concerns about the future of LGBTQ rights, specifically the fear that protections around same-sex marriage could one day be challenged again under federal law. Those were the reasons she publicly shared while explaining why England felt like a better place to settle. But critics quickly pointed out what they saw as an awkward contradiction. Ellen has been known for years to have a friendly relationship with former President George W. Bush, who during his presidency supported policies that opposed same-sex marriage at the time. Because of that history, some commentators argued that her political explanation didn't fully line up with the relationships she had publicly maintained in the past. Another detail that caught attention was how enthusiastically she praised life in England. She described the people as kinder, the pace of life as calmer, and the overall atmosphere as far more pleasant than what she felt back home.
You can do it, baby.
We're going in a circle. Much admiration for rowers.
Yet only about a year later, after spending massive amounts of money on multiple properties, the couple reportedly began heading back to the US, which left many observers puzzled by the sudden shift. And then there's the real estate angle that some people have talked about. Property records showed that Ellen didn't just buy one large countryside home, she bought another one soon after. Reports suggested the first house was owned for barely a month while a huge renovation project was underway. At one point, a construction team of around 70 workers was reportedly hired to overhaul the place in roughly 10 weeks, after which the property was listed again with a price tag about $10 million higher than what she originally paid. For some critics, that made the whole overseas chapter look less like a permanent escape and more like a very expensive house-flipping operation. During that short stretch in England, Ellen also leaned into this image of living a peaceful countryside lifestyle. The vibe she painted sounded like she had fully embraced quiet farm living, surrounded by nature and wide open land. But critics were quick to point out that the reality didn't exactly match that picture, especially considering how briefly she actually stayed there. Reports suggested she lived in that first property for only about 1 month before things started shifting again. And that short stay carried a major financial advantage. Because she technically lived in the house, it could be claimed as a primary residence when it was sold. That kind of classification can significantly reduce capital gains taxes in certain situations, potentially saving a massive chunk of money. In this case, estimates suggested the difference could have been more than $2.4 million. Once people started connecting those details, a bigger pattern began to stand out. Ellen has been involved in real estate for years and has flipped a huge number of luxury properties over time.
Good job, baby.
Reports have claimed she has bought and sold more than 50 mansions in the past 2 decades, with 24 homes located in Southern California alone at different points. Real estate flipping clearly isn't new territory for her. When questions popped up about why she moved from the first English property so quickly, the explanation given publicly was that the land didn't have enough proper space for her horses. But some observers found that explanation a little odd, considering the original property reportedly cost around $20 million. Many people assumed details like land size and animal space would have been carefully checked before making that kind of purchase. The situation also caused frustration among some locals in the area. Reports claimed that certain renovation plans and changes to the property didn't receive the proper permissions from local authorities before work began. That immediately created tension with the local government. And then another unexpected complication appeared. There were concerns that construction activity might have disturbed ancient Roman remains believed to exist in the area. On top of that, a large wire fence installed around the property worried nearby residents, who feared it could disrupt natural water flow and potentially increase flooding risks for the surrounding village.
Cheap will be fun.
All of that combined turned what was supposed to be a peaceful countryside chapter into yet another controversy surrounding the property. And here's where the story takes an almost unbelievable turn. Months after all that renovation work, while the farmhouse was still sitting on the market waiting for a buyer, the area was actually hit by a flood. Reports showed the property surrounded by murky floodwater, turning that luxury countryside estate into something that looked like it had been dropped into the middle of a swamp. After everything that happened with the quick renovation and the attempted flip, a lot of people online couldn't help but point out the irony. Now, stepping back to something mentioned earlier, there have also been plenty of rumors floating around the internet trying to link Ellen to different high-profile scandals, but it's important to be clear about the facts here. So far, Ellen has not been directly named in the official files connected to the Epstein investigations that have been publicly released. That distinction matters, because online speculation can spiral fast when someone's reputation has already taken a hit. Still, the conversation around her image keeps growing. Even NFL star Aaron Rodgers once made headlines when he spoke on Joe Rogan's podcast and briefly mentioned her show while discussing the strange culture around celebrity circles. Comments like that only add more curiosity and fuel to the ongoing debate surrounding powerful figures in entertainment.
So, Montecito is under complete evacuation, the entire town. This is crazy. This creek next to our house never flows, ever. It's probably about 9 feet up, and it's going to go another 2 feet up. We have forces ready to evacuate. We need to be nicer to Mother Nature, because Mother Nature is not happy with us.
At the same time, it's also worth noting that Ellen has never faced criminal charges related to the cases involving Diddy, Epstein, or any similar investigations. But when a public figure's reputation takes such a heavy blow, people start looking at past behavior with a much more skeptical eye. That's exactly what seems to have happened here. The workplace controversy surrounding her show already changed how many viewers saw her, and once that trust cracked, every new headline started hitting a little harder. What's truly wild is just how quickly public opinion flipped. For decades, she was one of the most beloved personalities on television, someone many viewers thought represented kindness and positivity. Then those stories came out, and suddenly the entire image started unraveling. If you scroll through the comments on many of her public posts today, the tone is completely different from what it used to be. So now, the big question is, what do you think about all of this? Do you believe Ellen's move overseas was simply about lifestyle and politics, or do you think she was trying to put distance between herself and the growing controversies around certain celebrity circles? And do you think more surprising stories about Hollywood figures could still come out in the future? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this breakdown and want to see more deep dives like this, make sure to like the video, share it with someone who follows celebrity news, and subscribe to the channel for more stories like this coming soon.